Another multi-game NBA slate, and today's slate comes with a real shocker. I'm actually going to be playing some Tyrese Haliburton for maybe the first time all season. That said, we're going to get in there good. We're going to do what we always do in this channel, compare my projections to some industry leaders out there, in particular our friends at Stokastic, see what they have ownership-wise and with their data. We're also going to hop over to Unabated, see what the best bets right are according to the data on, of course, PrizePicks, Underdog, DraftKings Sportsbook, and FanDuel Sportsbook. We're also going to run some DFS sims on Stokastic. And by the end of this video, you know all the industry must-plays and my splash plays for today's slate. Let's get into it. Apologies for you guys. We're waiting for the live stream here. A little bit of a late start because of HVAC guys over today fixing up some stuff, but I am here now. Roofing guy was over as well. The wife, it's Mother's Day week, so she's got to make sure that I have to do a million things at once and can't do the work here, which is gambling on the NBA. Let's talk about our top projected players again. So we got Anthony Edwards, 49.6 fantasy points for me, 50 for Stokastic. Anthony Edwards, one of few guys on the slate that have averaged over 1.2 fantasy points throughout the playoffs. It's him. It's actually not even Steph Curry. It's Darius Garland. It's Donovan Mitchell. And it's Tyrese Haliburton. That's it. Nobody else averaging over 1.2 fantasy points per minute out of all the players playing today. So for Anthony Edwards, he's been a solid player for the season. Earlier in the playoffs, he was deliberately talking to the media about how he was deferring more, trying to let the teammates get more shots up. That showed in the usage rates a little bit, where guys like Jaden McDaniels have a 20% usage rate. Julius Randle holding on to about a 26.5% usage rate for himself. So for Anthony Edwards here, at the end of that Lakers series, seemingly consolidating more usage for himself. He ended up at 29% usage throughout the series. So at this point for Anthony Edwards, he's probably one of your more trustworthy plays in the slate. Certainly a spot for him as well, where Golden State will defend him as adequately as they can. They only have the guys to stop him, you would think, for the most part. Not the same situation as a Şengün, obviously the big man there. Even harder to stop for a team like Golden State with no appreciable big men. They'll throw bodies in Anthony Edwards, but I really don't think they're going to have an answer for him in the series. We'll see who wins, but Anthony Edwards, I think, going to be a strong DFS play no matter what. Stokastic has Edwards projected for 53% ownership. Fields at 66% for my top 150 right now. So that's what I'm getting for Anthony Edwards above the field right now, with him being already one of the most popular plays in the slate. Tyrese Haliburton, number 2. So that is why you get a shocked face from me in the thumbnail. You can go full screen here. Look how shocked that I am at Tyrese Haliburton. I have not had Haliburton projected that well throughout the entire year, but basically because his playoff rates are now up enough and the other guys have come down enough, Haliburton is very much in play for me today. Getting 56% of Tyrese Haliburton in my top 150 lineups. Fields at 35%. For Haliburton, he's averaged 1.33 fantasy points a minute so far in the playoffs, so he's one of those guys in the best area of performance so far on tonight's slate. But for Haliburton, really the main thing is a 47% assist rate, 23% usage, true shooting at 56%. Could be a little bit better if he gets hot in certain games, though tougher defense throughout the playoffs, certainly going to make it more likely than not he'll shoot more poorly than well. But that said, for Haliburton here, I think he's played well enough throughout the playoffs. 9K salary, not really the cheap price tag we've been gravitating towards throughout the playoffs, where for the most part, in the first round especially, but even in the beginning parts of the second round, we've had guys priced out a little bit. You had Jokic under 12K yesterday. Haliburton 9K is certainly the ceiling for his price tag for the most part, but hey, if they beat Cleveland again, that might be the regular price tag for him if they somehow advance. So Haliburton 9K in play, got 56% of him again. Fields at 35. Steph Curry, 37% for me, 30% for the field. Tough series besides the fourth quarter. I think of that last game for Steph in particular. Only 1.15 fantasy points a minute so far in the playoffs. 25% assist rate, also not great for him. True shooting remained really good, still at 63%. So he's doing his thing in Steph Curry ways in terms of getting shots up and making them hit. But the usage rate being down or the assist rate being down a little bit more, those are not great things for him. Jimmy Butler, consolidating some of the time with the ball in his hands as well. In particular, in crunch time of those spots, that doesn't help out Steph quite as much. But Steph's still capable for a ceiling day for sure at any spot. Being with the field on his ownership seems like the most logical thing you could do. 30% ownership for the Stokastic numbers right now. I got 37% in my top 150. Shout out to the chat as well. Our guy Chunka was accusing me of being muted, but no, I am not muted here. I'm full go and trying to get this video done because I hate being behind schedule on things, and I got too much shit to do today. We got Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, 2 guys I'm getting barely any of here. Right. So right now for Cleveland, probably should mention the opening of the video. You have a Q tag on Darius Garland, a Q tag on Mobley. DeAndre Hunter also a Q tag. That matters a little bit less. For these guys, though, the Q tags for Mobley, for Garland, certainly going to matter a lot for Donovan Mitchell today at that $8,900 salary. If you get Garland out, if you get Mobley out, it's going to be hard to not get Mitchell a lot more. Would also see something as well that's happened already in the playoffs, where Mitchell's had a 33% usage rate, which is up a bit from where he was in the regular season, averaging 1.28 fantasy points a minute for himself. He's another player here where if you take out Garland again, you take out Mobley on top of it, that's going to look even better for him. So Mitchell here, I think, looks okay right now for the Fields ownership. I'm not getting there. But if you do get Mobley out, if you do get Garland out, he's going to come up a lot. And at that point, it becomes a question of him or Haliburton. It would be really close for me, I think, if you got Mobley and Garland out. But I would say Haliburton and Mitchell become, to me, very similar plays at 8,900 for Mitchell and 9,000 for Haliburton. Jimmy Butler at 8,600. Not a great projection for him on me. Or for him on me. That's a by me. Probably a better way to say that. I'm not projecting him very well on top of me either. But for Jimmy Butler, 32% ownership. I'm getting 5 here. So really not a good enough projection at 39.3 fantasy points. Stochastic has him for 42.3. I did give Jimmy Butler the rates he's had in the playoffs so far, which is a 22% usage rate, 24% assist rate. It's not enough of an uptick with where he was in the regular season for him to get any sort of increased projection from me. So Butler, Mitchell, 2 blind spots right now. Mitchell, though, would not be a blind spot if we got Garland and we got Mobley out. Julius Randle, another guy I've been playing a lot more in the playoffs than I would have thought. The minutes have been reliable. The usage rate's been reliable as well. Field projected play 35% today by Stokastic. I got 30% for myself for Randle. Really, if you're not playing Edwards, Randle he shouldn't make the lineup like by default, but I would say you want to give him a boost, 10% projection boost if you're running an optimizer. It's the kind of thing I would do for Randle. But really, Randle can get there with Edwards. He can get there if Edwards fails. I think there's a lot of utility for Randle on the slate today as long as they don't get smoked by Golden State, and I don't think that's most likely. Evan Mobley, again, if he doesn't play, that's going to free up a lot here. You'll get more Dean Wade minutes, I would guess. You'll get more projection for Jarrett Allen as well. But really, the biggest beneficiaries will be Donovan Mitchell, to a lesser extent, Ty Jerome, who will get more minutes then from Garland being out and more usage from Mobley being out. Mobley right now doesn't look like a great play if he's in. 33% of the field expected to play him by Stokastic. I'm getting 17% of my top 150, but his status is more important where if he doesn't play today, it's going to open up some top values theoretically and also, players that will just look a lot better for their current salaries like Donovan Mitchell, like Ty Jerome, like Jarrett Allen. Darius Garland, if he plays, looks pretty good to me. He's actually been pumping up his usage a little bit in the playoffs so far. He's had 30% usage, 36% assist rate, 1.27 fantasy points per minute. He's only played 120 minutes or 120 possessions rather. So not enough of sample size for Garland with the injuries that he had in the first round. A little bit weird how Cleveland's playing this where they lose game 1. Obviously not an expected thing to happen there. Now you have a banged up Mobley, maybe sitting Garland, not at shoot around either. I think both Mobley and Garland, along with DeAndre Hunter, not at shoot around today. If those guys are all out, I guess they could be playing it, assuming they could dig out of the potential 2-0 hole if they lost another game to Indiana, or they assume the starters can still get there no matter what, if they miss 2 guys. But if you take Garland off the court, you take Mobley off the court, this Cleveland team is not going to be as good as it's been the entire year. So I would play Garland if he's in. If Garland is out, you have to play the guys who are left because Garland's going to be vacating a lot of possessions, in particular for Mitchell and Ty Jerome. But Garland looks like a good play if he goes. 23% ownership for the field, and I'm getting 37. Jaden McDaniels, so another guy we've had in pretty much every game so far that at least I've done a stream here and gambled on. Jaden McDaniels has been a popular play for me. He's played pretty well on the year for the playoffs so far, 20% usage rate, 0.91 fantasy points per minute. McDaniels, to me, a player that I feel pretty good about in every playoff series because what he brings out there, corner threes, stocks, and good defense that'll keep him on the court for a lot of minutes. In that last series, he was playing high 30s minutes into the 40s minutes in a few games there. For McDaniels today, projected for 36.6 minutes, which is going to be the case here. Minutes a little bit lower to start off a series for the most part. Turns out playoff rotations usually go. McDaniels getting more than enough minutes that'll look good at 5,600, but the price tag's definitely coming up from where he was in that first round of the playoffs. Siakam, not a priority for me, but with how much Haliburton's getting played, could certainly be logical to boost Siakam in lineups without Haliburton. 30% ownership for Siakam, though, 35% for Haliburton. I would favor Haliburton by a lot, but Siakam will benefit if Haliburton were to fail in the spot. And Draymond Green, playing a lot of center lately for Golden State. Some clips going viral out there of him playing really shitty zone defense where he's in the paint basically and just kind of lightly reaching out to touch guys, so he's not getting penalized for the 3-second calls. But he's out there a lot playing the big man minutes. Golden State could certainly play Gobert off the court in the way the Lakers tried to do it last game, which would mean that for the most part, you're going to have a better shot of more Draymond at the 5. And you might not even see, like a Quentin Post, I feel like his minutes have to come down as the playoffs go on. Looney, they don't seem to trust very much in the playoffs either for whatever reason. So Draymond's locked into minutes. He's 5,800. He's a player to me more like your the Detroit guys, your Beasleys, your Asar Thompsons in that last round of the playoffs. Trying to think if we had anybody yesterday. The Denver guys, yesterday, Aaron Gordon ends up hitting a game winner. Christian Brown, though, similar player. Just a little bit too cheap for a guy who's playing a lot of minutes. So Draymond Green at 5,800. A priority play for me. I'm getting 2x the field right now. 58% of my top 150 in the field's at 28%. T-Wolves lose tonight. It's all why? Why is that where it's... First of all, they beat the Lakers. So I think if it were all rigged, I don't think they would have beat the Lakers as dominantly as they did in the first place. It would have at least been a 6-game series in that front. Shout out guy Tyler here. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Appreciate Bobby being here. Yes, let's win 100 fucking K. For the love of God, let's please do that. Yesterday could have been better. This last week of run for me in NBA, I feel like I was doing so well to start the NBA playoffs. Now we're back down to a normal level. Would like it to get back up here. And hopefully you'll start here with the value plays. Jaden McDaniels, my top value guy. We talked about him already. He's at 91% of my lineups right now. And the top 150 I had send out in Stokastic. Fields at 32. McDaniels, again, he and Draymond Green, two guys at that price tag. We're going to be out there a lot. Maybe the per minute numbers aren't as great as some other guys in the slate. And they're certainly not going to be in most spots. But the crush of minutes these guys get is really the main thing here. So McDaniels, Draymond, very much in play. Ty Jerome, his projection looks good to me, even if you have Darius Garland in. Obviously, with Garland theoretically ramping up from an injury, might be a little bit lower in the minutes that he would normally be in a playoff spot. If Ty Jerome is in, though, and Garland is out, I think Ty Jerome is going to be a borderline lock button play. Already getting him in 68% of my top 150 lineups. Fields at 27. If Garland's out, I imagine he'll be in like 90% of my lineups, much like Jaden McDaniels. Though I guess for Ty Jerome, just to think about it quickly, in this series here versus Indianapolis, really not anything I'd be worried about him getting hunted, I think, at this point. But in game one, he played with no Garland, 29.5 minutes. Ty Jerome also closed in that spot with them trying to make up some points. Ty Jerome got really good minutes in that last game. So if Garland is out, I think it's wheels up for Ty Jerome here. I'd probably be more inclined to play him in every lineup than in no lineups, the thing that we say a lot in this show. All right. Draymond, we talked about. Anthony Edwards, we talked about. Haliburton, we talked about. Aaron Nesmith's minutes are okay enough. He played 25 minutes in that opener. Lost a few because of foul trouble, I believe. Yeah, he got one foul in his first stint. You can see with the PF here at 8:03. 2 fouls in a second stint, so that's why he lost the minutes. Then shot hot to start the third quarter. Picked up another foul, though. He picked up a fifth, right? He didn't foul out, but he was in trouble with 5. Kept him on the court with 5 to close. Nesmith could definitely have gotten a few more minutes here if he didn't get that third. If I had to guess, he would have been at about 30 and maybe gotten more in the second half if he didn't get that foul as well. So Nesmith, I think in the hunt to be a reliable minutes guy, I would certainly put him behind a Jaden McDaniels, behind a Ty Jerome if Garland is out, because there are certainly ways you can not play Aaron Nesmith. But the Pacers seem to trust Nesmith more than I would, more than I think in my head I have their trust for him. So Nesmith's still coming in a good amount. I just kind of answered the Sotex, but he looks good to me as it is right now. I mean, this is with Garland, the projection set, as you can see here. And I'm getting Ty Jerome 68% with my projection on him of 29.8. The minutes feel a little bit high with for Stokastic with 24. But again, he played 30 last game, and that was off the bench as well. He didn't start last game. It was still a Merrill start for him, for Cleveland rather. So for Ty Jerome here, I think he's a good play no matter what. And maybe there's an outside shot. You get a start, but I don't think with the way they've been playing him, that'd be the most likely. But he's in play, just not a priority play if Garland is in. Mike Conley, not a guy I've trusted much in the playoffs here. At a certain point, feels like you go to the vet more, but frankly, he's been no better than your DiVincenzo's or your Alexander Walker's throughout the entire season, so maybe they don't have to. But Conley at 3,600, 16.5% for the field. I'm getting 19. He's really a guy here, priced at a range where nobody else is for the most part. Don't expect him to have the upside. We talked about it yesterday with Alex Caruso, who keeps producing at a fairly cheap salary. He at least does some things that are guaranteed to get him onto the court for a certain amount of time. For Conley, he'll get his minutes, but he's not out there being a lead defender. He's definitely not up there putting up 20-point games. That's sort of your issue with Conley no matter what. Darius Garland, a good value. If he plays, 37% Fields at 23. I do expect him not to play today, but if he does go, he would certainly be an option for me. DeAndre Hunter, 27% for me, 26% for the field. Again, he wasn't at shoot around as well, so probably not going here. If he's not in, you get more Strus, you get more Dean Wade, basically. Steph Curry, still a top value despite being 9,200. Julius Randle, we talked about as well. We'll do the quick game-by-game view here. You can see basically the same things we talked about. But guys, if you're here and you're watching this video, especially if you are just coming along and look, you were waiting for this content, you didn't see the stream up, and you're like, fuck, is he not going to do a stream? You're the kind of guy you should be hitting the like button right now, hitting the subscribe button as well. Goes a long way for me here. Of course, I made my promise to you guys, even though we're not being directly presented by Unabated every stream. I'm going to do these NBA streams throughout the rest of the playoffs as best I can, as long as there's a slate I'm gambling on. That's going to be the case here because I believe a lot in the, supporting you guys and fulfilling also the things that I say I'm going to do on stream. So even if there are HVAC guys taking way too long to get going here, I do my streams no matter what. So show some love if you can. Hit the subscribe button, hit hit the like button. It all goes a long way for me here. Just one guy running a couple NFL, NBA, MLB channels at once and trying to make it all work. All right, so Haliburton here, priority play for me today, 56%, Fields at 35. How that would move around would be if we get Mobley out, we get Garland out, and Mitchell projects just as well. At that point, then you get half the ownership for Haliburton and Mitchell, and I think they're going to project pretty closely, would be my guess, at very similar salaries. But Haliburton's playing well in the playoffs. He frankly has been good enough all year. The big issue for me is just that the other guys in the lineup take too much usage away. It's not been the case in the playoffs, where you could see here throughout the regular season, Haliburton had 21.6% usage, Siakam 24.2, McConnell 23, Mathurin 23. So far in the playoffs, it's been Haliburton with 23% usage, so his has gone up. Siakam's down to 22.5. Nemhart's at 17.5, so he's up a little bit technically. Turner's at 19.4, so he's down a little. Neesmith's at 17.9, so he's basically flat. Mathurin's at 23.4, McConnell's at 23.3. So everybody's flat, but Siakam's given up about 2% of the opportunities he had normally. So that's the main thing here that's helping out Haliburton a little bit more, I think, in terms of the projection and all that. But really at this point, got to remember all regular season, Haliburton and Siakam were priced for the most part as the same play. Now you have an $1,800 discrepancy. Lead guards in the playoffs have been dominating the ball pretty much no matter what team you're on. That's been the case this year, besides maybe Boston, I guess, would be your one exception. So Haliburton following the trend for sure. But these guys being priced so far away, maybe the underlying projection, like they should be a little bit closer because these guys basically perform the same throughout the year. You could see, Haliburton had 1.17 fantasy points per minute. Siakam had 1.1. It's definitely a gap, but it's not as big of a gap as it's been in the playoffs so far. Turner, not really a priority play for you, but I'm getting 18%, Fields at 32. Nemhart getting a little, Neesmith getting a good amount. We talked about him as a value, seemingly more trusted in the rotation by Indiana than you would think. Mathurin, 17%, Fields at 30. He's kept his usage. He's 3,500 as well. Think he's a pivot to whatever ownership you're getting for Conley. But frankly, at 30% ownership for Mathurin, really not an ownership discount there. These guys are all fine plays today. Not a bad total versus Cleveland, though certainly Indiana throughout the years had a lot better totals versus the shittier teams they played compared to Cleveland's defense. Cleveland on their side, Mobley in, still wouldn't be playing very much of him. Garland in, though, would be playing him. Mobley and Garland being out would open up Jared Allen more, open up Mitchell more, make Ty Jerome, I think, a lock button play, basically. Max Strus in the hunt right now with 23% ownership, Field at 29. That'll come up a little bit more if you get Hunter out, you get Mobley out, you get Garland out. But Cleveland right now, a team that's, I think, kind of up in the air. You can see good amounts of ownership coming here. I think they're going to be really chalky if you do get Mobley and Garland out alone, let alone Mobley, Garland, and Hunter out. At that point, there's just a lot of minutes to go around. And I'd really watch out for Dean Wade here. If Mobley doesn't play, I would guess that Dean Wade picks up the start, especially if Garland is also not playing. You're probably then getting a starting group of Merrill, Wade, Mitchell, Allen, Strus. It was a really shitty starting group for a team that should be a finals contender. But that's probably what you're getting if you do get Mobley and Garland out. There's a lot to watch out for Cleveland. Thankfully, this is the first game of the slate, so by the time things lock. For Golden State here, their game starts off at what time today? 9:30. So nothing we really need to know for Golden State at this point, but just to note it out loud. For Golden State, 1 of 2 implied points here. Curry looking the best to me in terms of your pay-up options for the group. 37% ownership compared to the Fields 30. Much lower on Jimmy Butler. Fields at 32%. I'm at 5. Butler's rates have not been high enough, whereas Curry's are at least close to where he's been the entire year. But really, these guys both, I would say, frankly, kind of underperforming compared to where they were throughout the regular season. It was a tough match versus Houston, so maybe give them some grace for that. But frankly, the match versus Minnesota is not going to get much faster. It's not going to get much defensively softer either, so it kind of might be what just we saw in the first round might be the case for Steph and Jimmy Butler the rest of the series. The Butler back in Minnesota, personal spite for him, certainly always a factor. Putting some spite in his big head coffee. We got Draymond Green, 58% for me. Fields at 28. He's playing a lot of minutes. It's really the main thing for him. Golden State, where were they in that closeout game? The closeout game for Golden State, Draymond played 40 minutes, so left a few minutes on the court, but really not a lot here. You can see the bench was barely involved. The bench should get back in because we're in the early part of a series. Kuminga, though, maybe not. I don't know if they're going to keep playing him at this point. Buddy Hield played really well in that game, too, so he stayed in the court more. But basically, it was really consolidated here for the top 5 of Butler, Hield, Podziemski, Curry, and Green. I think the Green part does move no matter what. The Hield part, the Podziemski part can move series to series, I think, a little bit more. So Draymond, not a great play to me in general, but point being, very good play at that price tag today. Podziemski at 5,400. He's been in the hunt as well for a good amount of minutes. Projected for 31 today by Stokastic. Getting him in 33% of my top 150. Fields at 23. Buddy Hield still getting there, 20%. Fields at 24. Hield's a guy I've had projected well all year. A little bit less so in the playoffs for sure because he's not getting as much usage as he has been in previous stops throughout his entire career. But he got hot from 3 last game. If he's getting shots to fall, he's going to get more shots up. That's the main thing here for Buddy Hield. Pretty much always been the case for Buddy Hield. Value players, Moses Moody, Gary Payton. Gary Payton went through shoot around today despite being a Q tag, so he should be a go. These guys are going to come up a little bit. Neither a great play, but they are values at 3,300 and 3,200 respectively for Moody and Payton. The Minnesota here got Anthony Edwards in about 2/3 of my lineup, as we talked about, 9,400. He looks good no matter what. Usage should probably continue to skyrocket for him as we get into more competitive playoff series when we go. Julius Randle has been a viable number 2 option throughout the series. I think that continues on here at 7,500, getting him in 30% of my lineups. But the field's at 35, so technically I'm a little bit low on Randle here. Gobert, I'm low on. This is another spot for him going against Golden State where we did see Houston have a lot of success going double bigs with Şengün and with Steven Adams. Gobert, really baffling series versus the Lakers where they played him off the court, even though the Lakers were not really doing enough to justify taking him off the court. But Minnesota went small more. Then at the end of the series, they're like, oh, wait a minute. The Lakers have no centers, and also they're exhausted. We're going to finally have Gobert play like a big man. He puts up a 20-20 game. He could do that again versus Golden State if they really keep him out there. The issue is the switching for him. Is he going to get abused by Butler, by Curry in particular? Even Podziemski, frankly, could abuse Gobert in the right situations. That's where the concern point is. So Fields at 31%. I don't love being as far off him as I am with only 9% ownership, but I don't think he's going to be guaranteed to be in the exact same spot as he was versus the Lakers because it took a lot for Minnesota to actually get there and play him that way and have him have the success that he had in that closeout game. Jaden McDaniels, 91% for me. Again, we talked about that. He's been a top value all series long or all playoffs long so far for me. Usage has been up for him as well because he's out there so much, basically. He doesn't do a whole lot, but he does add value defensively, and that's going to keep him on the court. So that's the main thing for McDaniels here at his price tag. DiVincenzo in play, Naz Reid in play, Conley in play, Alexander Walker the least in play to me. These guys are all going to come up a little bit here in a 150 set and a 20 max. You probably get Conley the most, I would guess, but really they're all kind of the same play, competing for roles that they don't really have a lot of in right now. And that's how the projections look to me, guys. Let's go to Unabated next, see what they have. I think because it's 2:30, we actually might be able to use conditional projections today. So let me log in here and do support the show if you can. Again, guys, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. That's the easiest thing you can do that does support the show. But also check it out on Unabated, 20% off. I'll show you some of their betting data in a moment. But basically, they've helped people make almost $100,000 if you placed every bet this year 30 minutes before tip-off with a 5% or higher sim ROI. Their market-based data also works well throughout the day as well for every sport. So that's something we've been showing you guys here on stream every day. So check that out here. And, of course, Stokastic, 15% off, link down below as well. For all their data, all their tools, 15% off. And you'll see more from Stokastic in a moment when you run the sim on their site. Let's see what we get here. Let's see if these are ready to go. All right, projections are in. So we're using the conditional projections here because we're doing a little bit of a later stream today. So we'll have a few more lines. You can see they have conditional projection sets for Garland and Mobley as well. So we won't have any Cleveland guys in the set right now because we're not using market data. We are using Justin Fan & Co.'s data at this point. Let's see what we get. Should be better ROIs than the market-based data would be my guess. Yeah, we're seeing that. A few good bets here for sure. All right, Jimmy Butler under 22.5 points, 10% EV for you on DraftKings Sportsbook according to Unabated's conditional projection. So lately here, because we've been doing streams earlier, the conditional projections haven't been out. We're using the market-based data instead. Today, this is Unabated's actual premium data. So you're getting a little bit of a taste there. If you want it for yourself, every single slate, check it out with the link down below to get 20% off at Unabated. But Butler playable everywhere. Your pick'em sites, DraftKings, FanDuel, your Jimmy Butler under 22.5 points. It's like one of the best bets of the day. Quentin Post over 3.5 points, looking good in the pick'em sites, 9% EV for Quentin Post today. Over 3.5 points is his line there, but only on the pick'em sites, PrizePicks and Underdog. And Obi Toppin, we only want a 5% or higher ROI, so Obi Toppin fits that criteria. 5.1% sim ROI for you at over 6 points on the usual pick'em odds on PrizePicks. It's 5.1% EV for Obi Toppin over 6 points. And you could take McConnell as well over 6.5, rounding up. That's a 5% ROI, but you don't have to. All right, rebounds coming up next. And again, the rule of thumb here for conditional projection / projection-based sims versus market-based projection sims. For a market-based number, you generally want to have, Market-based number, you generally want to have a 2% or higher ROI. Ideally, you could do, ideally 2% or more. You could do one. For a sim-based one, you want to go 5% or higher because basically it's not off an existing price number. It's off of kind of a theoretical number. So that's the best way to explain that. But basically, that's what you're getting here with the sim numbers. 5% or higher, good to go. Let's resim that. Okay. Top rebounds bets. Jimmy Butler over 6.5 rebounds. So Butler coming up a lot here for these bets so far. Over 6.5 rebounds plus 108 odds on FanDuel gets you 10.4% EV. Looks good on DraftKings as well, where it's 8.8% EV for Jimmy Butler over 6.5. Pick'em sites kill the line. Jaden McDaniels over 5.5 rebounds plus 114 odds on FanDuel get you 7% EV. That's the only place you want to play that one. Moses Moody under 2.5 rebounds, looking good on your Pick'em sites. And not so much anywhere else. 6.8% EV, though, for Moses Moody, under 2.5 rebounds on PrizePicks and Underdog. Steph Curry over 5.5 rebounds, plus 122 odds on FanDuel, get you 6.2% EV. Playable on DraftKings, a little bit less playable on PrizePicks. For Steph Curry as well, over 5.5 rebounds. TJ McConnell under 2.5 rebounds, 4.3% EV on FanDuel. You can play it if you want. And that's about it. Assist lines here, according to Unabated's conditional NBA projections. Pulling everything. Make sure we're sorting. No WNBA. Get out of here, WNBA. Anthony Edwards, 15.4% EV for under 5.5 assists. That looks great on DraftKings Sportsbook. Similarly, soft line on FanDuel, where it's 12% EV for Anthony Edwards, the over on assists today. Guy did defer a lot in the first series. Gary Payton under 1.5 assists, 11.7% EV at minus 145 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. That's under 1.5 assists for Gary Payton at 11.7% EV. Nickeil Alexander-Walker under 1.5 assists, plus 140 odds on DraftKings, get you 6.2% EV. No available lines anywhere else for Nickeil Alexander-Walker under 1.5 assists. Steph Curry under 5.5 assists is your plus EV line. 5.1% EV for Steph Curry under 5.5 assists today. And that's on your pick'em sites, both PrizePicks and Underdog, and nothing else you want to play here. Last but not least, PRAs. And we'll run a sim and we'll call it a day. Let's resort this. Gary Payton under 10.5 rebound or PRAs, 10.6% EV under 10.5 PRAs. Only on PrizePicks is where you're getting that best line. DraftKings line also looks good though for Gary Payton and under 10.5 PRAs at minus 125 odds. Kevon Looney under 7.5 PRAs. They don't seem to want to play him any real minutes. Maybe that changes this series. I don't know how it would. But Kevon Looney here under 7.5 PRAs. Good on your pick'em sites with 5.5% EV. Not playable anywhere else. Miles Turner, if you want to take this one, a rounded up 5% EV for under 23.5 PRAs at minus 105 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, but no good anywhere else. These are the ones you don't want to take. So that's Unabated for you. Again, they've updated data here with their conditional projections. Every single slate, they have it for you. So check it out. 20% off link down below. The market-based stuff as well works well for MLB, for NBA, for PGA, for NHL. You can see WNBA, tennis, NFL when that comes up. Lots of great stuff at Unabated that professional bettors use to make their money. So if you're trying to play some good bets, even if it is smaller scale stuff, you will get good info there if nothing else. Use Unabated stuff. All right, let's go to Stokastic next here, the final stage of our journey. Let's build 5,000 lineups here. Looks like they updated their data about 10 minutes ago, so you'll get that hot off the presses. And let's see what we get. Oh, man, I am sweating. Even with the HVAC fix, still hot down here, unfortunately. Guys, show some love if you can. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. You guys know the deal at this point. We're going to run the sim here, 35% to first. And of course, Stokastic, if you're new to the show or I just haven't mentioned in a while, what we're doing here is building 5,000 lineups with Stokastic's data and having them compete 10,000 times in a sim. And what it's doing here, my data not involved at all, just all Stokastic's data. Probably a good shot that a lot of people you see in tournaments tonight on DraftKings in particular going to be using Stokastic's data. They've had a lot of success in this run so far for NBA, for MLB. Last month, I think has been a killer one for them and their users. But basically, large reason I run the Stokastic data here is not really to tell me what to play necessarily, but so I know what other people are going to be playing in the field. I know how then my projections differ. So that's the main thing I'd say to try to get value of this. I wouldn't just take the lineup straight away, but obviously follow your hearts. So if you want to build lineups for yourself, get that 15% off of Stokastic link down below. Sweating, squirting, it's all the same to us. Well, squirting is just peeing, whereas sweating is technically not peeing. But it is urea coming out of your body, which I think also happens with urine. And yes, there we go. That's how I feel right now. It's like basically whatever season is going on outside here. The basement, which is where I do all my work. This is where my studio is, in the basement. I get the most extreme version of whatever weather's going on. So when it gets warm out, the basement gets hot. When it's cold out, the basement gets cold. I can't fucking win. It's really the thesis of both my heating situation and perhaps the last week of DFS. But let's go here. Top ROI lineups right now, according to Stochastic. Again, my data not a part of this one. So if you want to just tail them, follow it as much as you want to. But your top lineup right now, Ty Jerome. And let me just make sure they have Garland in still. Okay, yeah, they didn't take Garland out of the projection set. They might have lowered his minutes a little bit or something. But Garland is still technically in the data. So Ty Jerome, Donovan Mitchell, Gary Payton, Julius Randle, Evan Mobley, Brandon Podziemski, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert. Pretty much all legit players, though certainly Ty Jerome and Donovan Mitchell going to be less owned in a data set where you assume Garland isn't playing. But Jerome and Mitchell in this lineup here, even with Garland in the data set. Number 2, you have Donovan Mitchell, Benedict Mathurin, DeAndre Hunter, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, Julius Randle. So all guys in the rotation, 2 bench guys with Mathurin, Reid, I guess Hunter as well. Nothing too crazy here, but I think that's a nice lineup for sure. Number 3, you have McConnell here, so bench guy playing limited minutes. Donovan Mitchell, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Evan Mobley, Miles Turner, Steph Curry, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. The same thing here. You're playing 2 bench guys who are definitely going to be playing cap minutes no matter what. Not a high likelihood of either McConnell or Alexander-Walker being able to close. But those guys are coming up here. Basically seems like the Sims want you to play at least one kind of speculative value. Seems the way they're pushing right now. Number 4 ROI lineup, according to Stochastic, is Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, Benedict Mathurin, Jimmy Butler, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, Brandon Podziemski. So in this case, your bench guys, Mathurin, Conley. I mean, Conley basically a bench guy, even if he does start sometimes. These guys, for the most part here, another balanced lineup with 2 bench guys that you have to kind of take a dart throw shot at. And at number 5, you have Steph Curry. Oops, kicked the camera. Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Draymond Green, Jared Allen, Donte DiVincenzo, Buddy Hield, Rudy Gobert. This one, the least flimsy out of all of them, I think. Like DiVincenzo getting reliable minutes, not maybe not full starter playoff minutes, but enough. Hield is starting. But you got to take some flyers today, it looks like, to build good teams. I think that would be more an installation issue than it would be haunting, but I appreciate the worst possible suggestion. We got Donovan Mitchell here, negative 5% ROI. According to Stochastic, their top 150 lineups right now, he's the highest ROI player. So Donovan Mitchell, negative 5% ROI. Don't worry about the negative number. He is currently Stochastic's favorite player based on the return on investment numbers. Jared Allen at number 2. So they must have done a little bit of a downgrade for Garland and Mobley here to be getting these guys so much. But this is how it would look even at more an extreme level for sure if you get Garland and Mobley out. So Mitchell and Allen looking good right now with Mobley and Allen, with Mobley and Garland in the data set. If Mobley and Garland are out of the data set, Mitchell and Allen are probably be unavoidable on Stochastic. Ty Jerome at number 3, same thing as well. But I like Ty Jerome. The other 2 guys, a little bit less locked into. Benedict Mathurin, negative 10% ROI. He's at number 4. He's 3,500, so that's probably a big part of it. Naz Reid, negative 10% ROI. He's your 5th highest ROI guy. Mike Conley, a little bit lower. He's right behind him. Again, $3,600 salary. That's probably why you're getting Mathurin and Conley a good amount. And Donte DiVincenzo rounding it out here. So good mix of both games in terms of the top ROI guys. But really, these guys are going to be unavoidable, I think, if you get Garland and Mobley out. Your top exposed players, according to Stochastic's top 150 lineups, Donovan Mitchell, 81% fields at 35. So again, imagine how unavoidable that's going to be if you do get Garland officially ruled out. Anthony Edwards, 55% fields at 51. So he seems to be your top pay-up option here at 9,400. Jared Allen, 49% exposure fields at 30. So, and that's with Mobley in the data set. If Mobley's out of the data set, Jared Allen's probably going to be in like 75% of Stochastic users' lineups. We got Draymond Green, 46% fields at 30. So Draymond here, another guy I do feel a lot better about relative to this slate. Price tag's too cheap for a guy who's playing regular rotational minutes, and they don't seem to have another center they really want to play. Benedict Mathurin, feel not great about this one. The usage has been there, but he's really very unlikely to close. 41% exposure for him right now. Fields at 26. Naz Reid, 39% exposure in Stochastic's top 150. Fields at 26. He's a little bit too cheap. Certainly, if Rudy Gobert gets played off the court, Naz Reid's odds of playing onto the court are higher. So I think that works, but I don't know that I want a crazy amount of Naz Reid here. And Ty Jerome, 37% fields at 23. If Garland is out, that number is going to come up quite a bit. Your most positive leverage guys, Donovan Mitchell, 46% more in the field. Really big stand there. More than 2x the ownership for Stokastic going to Donovan Mitchell. Jared Allen, 18% more in the field, so a big stand there that will grow even bigger, I'm sure, if Mobley is out. Draymond Green, 16% more in the field. Mathurin, 14% more. Ty Jerome, 14% more. Naz Reid, 12% more in the field. And Mike Conley, 9% more in the field. Your most negative leverage guys, they don't want you to play much Aaron Nesmith. Only 5%, fields at 23, so negative 19% leverage on Aaron Nesmith. Tyrese Haliburton, negative 18% leverage for him. The one day I want to play Haliburton, Stochastic is not playing Haliburton. So a little bit worrisome there. Does feel like Cleveland is probably due for a bounce back game. But I don't know, man. I feel like defense will be better if Garland's out. But if you take out Garland, Mobley, and Hunter, I don't know what Cleveland's doing, man. You can't fight injuries, obviously, but it's weird for these guys to be having these injuries and not playing through it the stage of the game. Darius Garland, only 5% exposure, fields at 19. They knocked the minutes down a little bit, would be my guess. If Garland plays, I would still play him more than the field, but I don't think Garland's going to play right now with how things have been trending. Jimmy Butler, only negative 14% leverage on him, 20% exposure, and Stokastic's top 150, fields at 34. Pascal Siakam. So interesting, you're fading Haliburton and Siakam here. Just not a big fan of Indianapolis or Indiana today, are Stokastic's data points. But Siakam coming in here, negative 13%, and Haliburton at negative 18% leverage. Jaden McDaniels, negative 13% leverage. Again, I like him more. I think he and Draymond, very similar plays to me. And Steph Curry, negative 11% leverage here, still getting him in about 21% of Stokastic's top 150 lineups, but they are fading him. Surprised to see the Haliburton and Siakam fade, to be honest, because I feel like if you're going to not play one of them, playing the other would be logical. But they must not like the price tags for both. So that's how that looks right now with Stokastic data. I'll give you guys one more run through everything again. Before we do that, guys, please show some love. Subscribe down below with the like button. Leave a comment. Again, no matter what, I'm showing up and doing the work here for you guys. The views, frankly, were a lot better in the regular season, but I'm still doing the gambling here, and I still believe in my process enough. That's helped me win a lot of money, and I want to be here for you guys, showing you what I'm doing on a given slate. Of course, you can do whatever you want. Use the data here. If you want to fade me today, yesterday, if you had faded me, you would have gotten Tatum incredibly wrong, and you'd have gotten Towns right because he got in foul trouble and fucked me over here. But I show you my work here every day, and that's really the promise here and the premise every single day on the channel. So show some love, subscribe, hit the like button if you can. Check out Unabated as well, 20% off. Great way to support the show. Same thing for Stokastic, 15% off. Link down below. Basically, all the money you pay to Stokastic, half of it then comes back to me. So buy whatever sims you want there for NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, all the sports they have. Same deal applies there, and it's in perpetuity as well. And join the Discord too. And if you do join and you want the projection data, make sure you join the Squirt Squad tier or the VIP tier. But otherwise, join the channel, support the show. $5 to support the show and get access to the Discord. But if you want my projections, you got to pay a little bit more and join one of the higher tiers. All right. Splash plays for the day for me. So you theoretically know the must plays from Stokastic. Jaden McDaniels, to me, got to be a splash play. He projects way too well. I think he's a lot better play. I didn't pull up. Sorry. Keep running the ad. I'm surprised to see that Jaden McDaniels is so low for Stokastic. Like, usually Stokastic numbers seem to like guys with the salaries reasonable and the guy's going to play a lot of minutes. McDaniels has been very good in the playoffs, but even if you don't give him any boost for that, I think he still plays a lot of minutes no matter what, and has a shot at having an outlier day. I am team McDaniels. Stokastic is not. So that's one thing today. If you want to ride with me, play McDaniels more. If you want to ride with Stokastic, and that's totally fine, play less McDaniels because they are seemingly not big fans of his. Ty Jerome here, another splash play for me. He'll be unavoidable if we get Garland out. Even if Garland's in, I'll still play Ty Jerome a good amount. Draymond Green, core splash play for me today. He'll be in a lot of lineups. I'm not a Draymond guy, but he's coming up a lot for me so far. Haliburton, I'll say he's a splash play for the day. I think he looks, for me to get him projected well is so rare. If my data's telling me to play him, I'm going to play him. So Haliburton for me is definitely one of those plays today. Anybody else I really want to highlight? Honestly, that's probably my core pool. And really, if you want to like distill it down, McDaniels, Ty Jerome, Draymond are like the three I think are really, really unavoidable. The other guys, the range of outcomes for guys and their price tags, maybe a little more flexible. But I like Jerome, like McDaniels, like Draymond, and Ty Jerome if Garland's out, wheels up. But that's the video for today, guys. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with more. Again, hit the notification bell as well. Should be back at the normal 1 o'clock time tomorrow, but in case things move around, I have meetings and stuff. The stream schedule might move around a little bit because I'm going to be doing some streams for Stochastic or some more streams for Stochastic coming up as well. So just subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll know when I go live. And I promise, no matter when I go live, I'm always doing the best I can to give you guys good info. Join the Discord as well. Hop in there. Feel free to bitch with me about NBA. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Thanks for hanging out and dealing with me in this moving schedule of mine. And let's go enjoy some air conditioning for all of us. Bye, guys.